Yo, what is up, guys? It is Junior here, and today I'm going to read like the first 3 chapters. I'm going to do a whole series on this book, Captain Underpants and the Big Bad Battle of the Bionic Booger Boy, Part 1, The Night of the Nasty Nostril Nuggets. So yeah, I think we're going to be doing like the first, second, and third chapter. So yeah, okay, here's the chapters. Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another one of our disastrous misadventures. Before we get started, check out this comic book to get the full scoop on our story so far. The Awful Truth About Captain Underpants, a Treehouse Comics production. Once upon a time, there was 2 cool kids named George and Harold. We demand, me too. They had a mean old principal named Mr. Krupp. One time, Mr. Krupp punished George and Harold. You have to obey my orders. So they got a 3D hypno ring and hypnotized him. No way, you must obey us now. Okay. They made him think he was a superhero. You are now Captain Underpants. Yes, master. It was supposed to be a joke. Ha ha ha. Tra-la-la. But it got carried too far. I will go fight crime now. Way too far. Hey, come back here, bub. Tra-la-la. Then one day he got attacked by a dandelion. Help! Don't you hate it when that happens? So George stole some superpower juice from a UFO and gave it to him. Down the hatch, glug, glug, glug. Suddenly he got superpowers. Hey, I can fly now. I rule. Oh, great. Bummer. Nowadays, whenever Mr. Krupp hears anybody snap their fingers, he turned into you-know-who. Tra-la-la. Uh-oh, not again. And the only way you can stop him is if you pour water on his head. What the? Then he turns back into Mr. Krupp. Hey, what's the big idea, Bubs? So whatever you do, don't snap your fingers around Mr. Krupp, okay? The end. Chapter 1, George and Harold. This is George Beard and Harold Hutchins. George is the kid on the left with the tie and the flat top. Harold is the one on the right with the t-shirt and the bad haircut. Remember that now. Wait. George and Harold's grades in school were much like whales in the ocean. They rarely rose above sea level. Melvin Sneedley, however, he's the kid down there with the bow tie and the glasses, always got straight A's. Because Melvin was so academically gifted, people just assumed he was a lot smarter than George and Harold. But that wasn't true. You see, George and Harold were every bit as smart as the straight A students, but in a different way, in a way that couldn't be measured by quizzes or worksheets. Maybe George and Harold couldn't spell very well or remember their multiplication tables. Perhaps their grammar weren't no good neither. But when it came to saving the entire planet from the nasty forces of unrelenting evil, there was nobody better than George Beard and Harold Hutchins. It's a good thing that George and Harold were smart enough to get themselves out of trouble, because their silliness was always getting them into trouble. In fact, one time it got them into a really snotty situation. But before I can tell you that story, I have to tell you this story. Chapter 2, Squishies, Part 1. It was demonstration speech day in Miss Ribble's 4th grade English class. Every student had to give an oral report demonstrating how to do something. First up were Tim Bronsky and Stevie Loopner, who demonstrated how to give a speech that they hadn't prepared for. They got a D-. Next up were Jessica Gordon and Stephanie Wyckoff, who demonstrated how to cook frozen lasagna in a pop-up toaster. After the firemen left, it was George and Harold's turn. Harold carefully tacked some charging graphs onto the wall, while George brought out a large garbage can with a toilet seat taped to the top. "Ladies and gentlemen," said George, "today Harold and I are going to demonstrate how to do a squishy. First, you need 2 packs of ketchup and a toilet seat. Next," said Harold as he pointed to their display chart, "you must fold the ketchup packs in half and carefully place them under the toilet seat. Make sure that the packs are under those front 2 bumpy thingies on the bottom of the seat." "Now, once the ketchup packs are in place," said Harold, "all you have to do is wait for somebody to sit down on the toilet seat. Do we have any volunteers?" "Come on," said George. "Who wants a squishy?" Although nobody in the class wanted to sit on the toilet seat, everybody wanted to see what would happen if somebody actually did. So George grasped one side of the toilet seat, Harold grasped the other, and together they pushed down. Splat, splat. Everyone in the class was thrilled, except for the 2 kids sitting directly in front of the toilet seat, who were somewhat less than thrilled. "Hooray for squishies!" the children shouted. Now, normally, George and Harold's teacher, Miss Ribble, would have been very angry about this particular demonstration speech. She would have yelled on and on about imitable behavior and how it's not nice to spray ketchup into people's underwear. But Miss Ribble had changed quite a bit since the last book, and now she was all about fun. "Come on, kids," shouted Miss Ribble. "Let's all run to the cafeteria and grab some ketchup packs. Squishies for everybody!" "Hooray!" cried the children as they bounded from their seats and dashed towards the classroom door. "Not so fast," shouted Melvin Sneedly, who stood blocking the door with his arms spread defensively. "You guys are so immature." Now, this is going to be the last chapter. Once we get to chapter 4, we're going to be done with this video. Chapter 3, The Combinotron 2000. Melvin Sneedly, the school brainiac, was not about to let anybody leave the classroom until he had given his demonstration speech. "We still have 15 minutes left before lunch," said Melvin, "and that's just enough time for me to demonstrate my new invention, the Combinotron 2000. "Aw, man," whined Melvin's classmates. The children all slumped back into their seats while Melvin pushed a plastic rolling cart to the front of the classroom. On top of the cart were a hamster, a small robot, which Melvin had built himself, and a strange-looking contraption shaped like an ice cream cone. "Today," said Melvin, "I will demonstrate how to turn an ordinary hamster into your very own bionic cyber slave." Melvin placed his pet hamster, Sulu, at one end of the cart and his tiny homemade robot at the other end. "I shall now combine this tiny robot using the Combinotron 2000. Melvin picked up the Combinotron 2000 and turned it on. A high-pitched tone pierced in the classroom air, getting higher and higher in frequency. As the machine charged to full power, Melvin typed some last-minute calculations into the keyboard on the side of the Combinotron 2000 as its laser extractor warmed up. Suddenly, 2 streaks of red glowing light flashed onto Sulu and the tiny robot. The Combinotron 2000 began assimilating information on the 2 elements it was about to combine. "Don't worry, kids," said Melvin. "This procedure is totally painless. Sulu won't feel a thing." Finally, a computerized voice started the countdown. "Combining 2 elements in 5 seconds, combining 2 elements in 4 seconds, combining 2 elements in 3 seconds, combining 2 elements in 2 seconds, combining 2 elements in 1 second. Blast! A burst of brilliant white light shot out of the Combinotron 2000 and formed a ball of energy between Sulu and the tiny robot. The hamster and the robot began to slide closer and closer together until they disappeared into the energy ball. The smell of burned matches and pickle relish filled the air as hot blasts of electric wind knocked books off of shelves and sent papers flying. Suddenly, there was a blinding flash of light, a quick puff of smoke, and it was all over. Melvin pulled off his goggles. No longer was a hamster and a robot sitting on the cart before him. Now the hamster and robot were one, combined at a cellular level. The world's first self-contained, warm-blooded, fuzzy, bionic cyborg. Eureka! Shouted Melvin. It worked! I've created a cybernetic life form. The children looked on as Melvin waved the metal detector over the hamster, and the reading went off the chart. One of the children raised his hand with the question. Yes, said Melvin enthusiastically. Can we go to the lunchroom and get our ketchup packs now? But no! Screamed Melvin. Will you forget about squishies for 1 minute? I just created the world's first cybernetic hamster, and nobody is leaving this room until I've demonstrated his undying obedience. And yeah, that's basically the end. So now we made it to chapter 4, and in the next video, we'll read chapter 4, 5, and 6. So yeah, guys, I'll see you next time. Bye!